Hi Piggy. Hi Piggy. Gonna drink a Boss Hog, Piggy. Yeah, so this happened. I bought a Boss Hog. I will tell you exactly why I decided to buy one this year, and of course, learn a little bit more about the Boss Hogs, the bottle, and if it's worth your time and cash. Let's try it here on the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and today we're reviewing the latest release in the Boss Hog lineup from WhistlePig. The 2021 edition is Roman numeral number 8 and is named Lapu Lapu's Pacific. Lapu Lapu's Pacific is not only the 8th edition of WhistlePig's most sought-after annual limited edition, but also the sequel to the Boss Hog 7, Magellan's Atlantic, released last year and awarded Best Rye Whiskey at the 2021 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Now, essentially, the Boss Hogs are a mapped voyage around the world. Now, continuing that voyage across the Pacific, the Boss Hog 8 features straight rye whiskey aged for nearly 18 years in New American oak, followed by a double finish in high toast barrels that previously held small batch, single island aged Philippine rum. Take a closer look at the bottle. I'm gonna pour this out. Oh my God. This cork weighs about 50 pounds, which is kind of nice. So the Boss Hog, ooh, that's a lot of Boss Hog. The Boss Hog 7 draws inspiration both historically and symbolically from the Philippines, where Magellan met his fate at the hands of Filipino hero Lapu Lapu during the Battle of Mactan. Magellan's journey ended in the Philippines on April 27, 1521, when the local victory dispelled the Spanish fleet. 500 years later, Lapu Lapu is celebrated as a symbol of strength and independence, his likeness captured in the handmade collectible pewter pig that tops the bottle of this edition of Boss Hog. So, Lapu Lapu's likeness right here. Alright, so the bottle. Before maturing rum for 7 to 10 years, the barrels were coopered from American oak and originally held bourbon. Now, in this way, they've made their own circumnavigation from American whiskey to the Philippines and back again to us in Vermont, says Megan Ireland, blender of WhistlePig whiskey. She goes on to say that the whiskey rested first in 7-year-old small batch Philippine rum casks, followed by a shorter finish in 10-year-old small batch Philippine rum casks. Now, the older rum is darker and bolder, requiring less time for its barrels to impart notes in the whiskey. The end result is an amazing, unique, and delicious whiskey. The Boss Hog 8 Lapu Lapu's Pacific is available now, bottled at proofs between 104.8 and 106.5, with a suggested retail price of $500. Yeah, guys, so $500 for this. I've been one of the biggest critics of the WhistlePig pricing model, and with good reason, I think. If you do the math for about a 17-year-old rye, which this would roughly be $29 per year of aging, well above the $10 a year people like to spend on whiskey or bourbon when it comes down to it. On top of that, there's no age statement on the bottle, so what you're paying for is not only the whiskey, but you're also paying for the packaging, obviously the pewter, very, very, very heavy cork here on top of the bottle as well. So one reason WhistlePig says they price these so high is to curb flipping Boss Hog on the secondary market or being traded in whiskey groups for huge markups. Now, even though I do see these on secondary, it's usually maybe only about $50 over retail, which is a bargain considering the insane markups that other bottles, hit the market for, like that we see from Buffalo Trace. I mean, Sazerac 18 sells for $1,500 on secondary, while Thomas H. Handy, essentially a 6-year-old rye whiskey, is selling for $600 to $800, which people buy with no problem. Now, while a few years ago I thought WhistlePig was insane for pricing this at $500, but maybe they just knew what the market would command in the future. I mean, even at $500, these usually sit on the shelf for a while and you can watch folks walk by, look at it, think about it, and usually pass it on by. I should know, I was one of those folks for the last few years. So what made me buy this one? One, I love toasted rye and rum, so check that box. Two, I was recently in Las Vegas and I had some good luck playing craps. So while I still maintain this is a very high priced rye whiskey, when you look at the market today and what it's become, maybe it's not so crazy. Either way, let's try it. Here we go. So this is my second pour of this. And the first time that I tried it, I was actually really impressed at how much the rye notes were coming out. But also those toasted notes. You do get some of that marshmallow in here. Get a lot of like creme brulee, creamy vanilla. Man, allspice. And I will say, even after the first glass, the rum notes are starting to really come out of the glass now. Banana, pineapple, even some like toasted coconut. It's like an almond joy. Or maybe a Mounds. Which one is the Mounds? The dark chocolate, no almonds. Mounds. Mounds? Yeah, candy. You guys know I like my candy. Yeah, that sugary sweetness is in there, like the dark molasses that you get from a good rum. But it doesn't overtake the rye spice. Yeah, this is like Bananas Foster almost. Not like the artificial banana you would pick up on maybe like a Jack Daniels or even 1792. Sometimes you get that artificial banana note. This is more like fresh, ripe banana. Yeah, but really digging the note. I mean, it smells great, so let's try it. Here we go. Cheers. Woo! This takes you for a nice little ride here. I will say that. Now, I've had some Boss Hogs that would just simply eh. I did love the one last year. I did love the 7. I thought that was really, really unique. This one, I'm getting all the sweet, the rum characteristics up front. Man, the finish on this thing just goes on forever. That's what I like in a rye whiskey. So if anything, it already has something that I already love in a rye whiskey, or a good rye whiskey is when you have that nice, long, lingering finish here. Well, I'm getting melon, the banana, the dark molasses is there. There's kind of like a toffee butteriness thing going on too. It's very buttery. Man, that spice carries through from front to back. It's a nice palate. I will say, I think the palate's a little bit different than the nose. The nose, to me, you get more of those tropical notes. Like I said, the pineapple, toasted coconut. The palate is more of rye heavy, more of the citrus, more of the spice, black pepper. Some of the tropical notes are there. You get the molasses, you know, from the rum. A little bit of like that charred banana that I was talking about on the nose too. Man, the melon. This is like the orange melon, like cantaloupe that I'm picking up. Really, really interesting. This has a lot of like interweaving flavors that I think if any of you out there were to try this, could probably pick out of this. But I think you know, when you have the rum characteristics kind of mixed with like the toasted rye characteristics here, because the overlaying sweetness of this is prevalent throughout front to back. So I think the marshmallow, the allspice, the molasses, the sugary sweetness is all there. Then right in between, you get like these little bursts of like melon, banana, some pineapple. Not so much getting the coconut on the palate as much as the banana. And then the finish just kind of explodes and takes off with just the allspice, the mint, a little citrus, and a long, long lingering spicy finish. Really nice experience on this one so far. So that sip, I got more of like the toffee notes and the sweetness notes coming through from the ex-bourbon cask that it sat in too. So, I mean, you're getting a lot of different flavors here. This is one of those whiskeys I think, you know, evolves over time because of the multiple finishes here. But I mean, anybody out there that gets a chance to try this one, you guys could definitely make this your own experience depending on what you pick up on your palate. I'm just trying to give you guys, you know, the experience that I'm going through here just from front to back. So, all right, let's one last sip. Let's break it down. Now this is being like my 4th or 5th sip. Wow, it's good. Front of the palate, rye spice, mint, citrus, the dark sugars, the molasses, the really creamy, like toffee butteriness of it. All the front, almost mid-palate. As soon as it hits mid-palate, these little bursts of those tropical flavors that you get from the rum, I think, the banana. I think I am starting to get a little bit more of the coconut here. But it's like a boozy coconut banana, like soaked, like, you know, if you've had Bananas Foster, just soaked in like rum. I mean, it's like a boozy banana. Then all this overlaying spice on the back end. And again, the melon is still there. And then as this thing finishes, this is one you could sip. This is kind of, you know, one of those whiskeys that I talk about where you can have a glass of this and just kind of sip it a little by little, enjoy the experience it's giving you. You don't have to keep going for it. Man, it's good. It's a really good rye whiskey. Definitely glad out of all of them I picked this one up. Again, I feel like if you're a toasted bourbon fan, you'll really like this. If you like rum, you'll really like this. And if you have, you know, you want to be able to keep, you know, like a sweeter rye profile. If you like a Kentucky rye, the Knob Creeks, the Michter's, the Russell Reserve, the Elijah Craig, those types of ryes where they're more on the sweet side, then I think this is kind of where you're at. I think it's definitely on the sweeter side if you're looking for the dill or the pickle or those really heavy green ryes where you get a lot of the spice and the spearmint and the earthy type of ryes, and this will not be for you. All right, guys, just for fun, let's compare this to the Thomas H. Handy, which I mentioned earlier, which is a 6-year-old cask strength rye whiskey from the BTAC collection, priced at $100, but people, as we say, pay anywhere to about $600 for it. So the Thomas H. Handy doesn't have all the finishes that, you know, the Whistle Pig does, obviously. This is just a straight 6-year cask strength rye whiskey from Buffalo Trace that people go bananas for. So let's try it on the nose. Now this one is last year's version, 125.7 proof. Now the Thomas H. Handy is extremely sweet, but it's a different type of sweetness than what you're getting here, obviously. The Whistle Pig, Boss Hog 8, you're gonna have more of those, you know, the tropical fruits in it, as well as that sugary sweetness. Whereas the Thomas H. Handy, a little bit more barrel char. It's like candied orange. Again, but because this is like a really good Kentucky rye, you get a lot of the caramel, a little bit of butterscotch notes as well in there too. And you get some rye spice. A little bit of, slight bit of root beer, sassafras, maybe some slight hint of licorice. Yeah, and the Whistle Pig just comes off. They both have stellar noses. The Whistle Pig just comes off a little bit, you know, a little bit more of an elevated type of sweetness because of those tropical notes to it. But right here with the Handy. All right, let's try the Handy. Yeah, the Handy has a little bit of chocolate to it. The mint, it's like an Andes candy almost, chocolate mint. Again, more of that buttery, like just pure like vanilla icing. Caramel, rich dark caramels, some spearmint notes there too. Nice little peppery finish. Yeah, the finish on this is actually now really coming for a really, really beautiful finish on here. Just so good. For a 6-year product, cask strength, I think this is definitely one of the stellar rye whiskeys that are out there. I mean, it is rare, obviously, but all right, let's compare it to the Whistle Pig. All right, so here's the difference with the Whistle Pig. I think the Whistle Pig actually has a longer finish than the Thomas H. Handy. The finish just keeps going. But it's not as dark and rich as the Thomas H. Handy. The Thomas H. Handy I just think has darker, richer flavors, whereas the Whistle Pig Boss Hog 8, it's a little bit brighter. Again, you're relying heavy on the rum cask finish to get those brighter, more tropical type notes. So really the question is, if people are willing to pay $600 to $800 for this bottle, Where does that leave the Boss Hog? Let's go to the final breakdown. All right, final breakdown on the Boss Hog. Price, $500. Secondary, like I said, I've only seen a couple of these on secondary so far, and they're going for about $550. So really not much over retail. Availability. Now, even though these are limited, they tend to stick around for a while because of that price tag. So if you're thinking about getting one, if you look around, normally you could kind of find these just sitting around because people aren't willing to drop the $500 on them. All right, so value. This is kind of the big question. For me, let me say this. If this was a Buffalo Trace release every year, a release like this with a box, pewter buffalo on top, dressed in different outfits, this would command far beyond what the asking price is. I think the sticker shock of $500 is less prevalent with Buffalo Trace because the bottles of BTAC have an MSRP of $100, even though many of us rarely see the bottles of that price. Instead, they are flipped for hundreds more, which a lot of folks have no problem buying. Makes you think if Buffalo Trace and other big brands have their MSRPs at already secondary markups to begin with, would there still be such high markups on secondary? Would folks still flip at such a high margin? Let me know what you think in the comments. It's an interesting question that I've kind of pondered. Either way, for me, when it comes to this whiskey, I think the value of this in today's market, if you would have asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I would say it's a low value. Today, I would say it's not even, but it's probably a little bit below even value. It's for a 17-year-old rye whiskey with the toast, rum finish, and to see what other people are paying for toasted products and also rum finishes, and to have that together in here, I'd say it's, while I would like to see it cheaper, I still think it's a little bit below what the asking price is. What's the most I would pay for this? I wish this was maybe 300, 250 to 300, not 500. I mean, I understand the mentality of WhistlePig and what they're doing, but man, $500 to get this bottle. It makes me think if this bottle was only 200, 250, it would be marked up to 500 on secondary. I don't know. That's an argument for another day, but most I pay for this obviously is retail, but if I could have it another way, I wish this bottle was about 250 to 300. All right, is this a recommend? When it comes down to the whiskey in the bottle, if you strip away everything else outside of it, the pewter top, the fancy box, all that good stuff, the story, just take it out, and just the whiskey inside, I think it's delicious. You get kind of the best of 3 different worlds here. You get some rye spice characteristics, a super, super long finish. Then it gives you those toasted notes, a little bit of sweetness, the marshmallow, get some toffee, some butterscotch in there as well. And then the rum characteristics, the rum, the molasses, the banana, the coconut, the melon, all that wrapped up into one bottle. It's a delicious whiskey. If you have a chance to try this, or if you even have a chance to buy this and you don't mind spending the money on it, it's a fantastic rye whiskey. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed the review for the brand new Boss Hog 8 from WhistlePig. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Let me know if you've had this, what you think of it. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers, and here's to a good year for a good hog. Take care, everybody.